What's up everyone, how's it going? Welcome back to the Rideshare Hub. So if you're interested in becoming an Uber or Lyft driver, and you want to get a sign-on bonus, go ahead and use the link in the description below to sign up. Hey everyone, how's it going? And welcome back to the Rideshare Hub. My name is Dylan.
I'm Liz.
The Rideshare Hub is a place for rideshare drivers, especially Uber and Lyft drivers, to come together, interact with each other, and learn how to make more money and get the best tips on being a better Uber and Lyft driver. Wouldn't you say that's correct?
I agree, and I'm gonna throw in Rideshare Hub maximizes your experience as a driver.
Yeah.
Whether that's for tips, for the experience, for fun, we're gonna give you a maximized experience.
Exactly, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss any videos that we upload. We upload videos almost every single day.
All the time.
Yeah, so today's video, we are covering safety. We know safety is huge. It's super important, and it's also one of the biggest things to look out for when you're driving for Uber and Lyft.
I mean, I think that as a driver with a car, you have to be a safe and cautious driver, or else literally people's lives are on the line.
Yeah, and not only being a safe driver, but also being a safe Uber and Lyft driver, interacting with your passengers to make sure you do have a safe experience.
In today's video, we're gonna be covering 17 different safety tips that as an Uber and Lyft driver, you should be following.
Yeah, so let's get right into the video. So number one is ask what your passenger's name is. I have gone over this a few times before, but this is by far the number one way, is when you pull up to pick up your passenger, ask what their name is. Don't assume that you ever have the correct passenger, and this is the number one way for safety. Is to, ask like, hey, what is your name?
I'd say, hi, I'm Liz, I'm looking for Dylan.
And then now I know that that is my correct passenger. If I just go like, hey, are you Susie?
Yeah, I'll get in your car. That could be a scammer.
Yeah, I don't know if her name's Susie, Beatrice, Cleopatra. It could be whatever. That person might just get into my car and try to get a free ride, or that person...
Or some weird intentions, you never know.
Yeah, so always ask what their name is. Never assume that you have the correct passenger.
Number two, keep your doors locked until you're sure that the person you're talking to is indeed your passenger. This is just safe because, what if something happens where someone's trying to just get in the car and go, and possibly like a bad scenario could arise. But if you're locking your doors, you're safe and you're sound.
Yeah, so the practical way to do this is to, when you're pulling up to pick up your passenger, you see them, or maybe it's a crowded area, keep your doors locked so no one can just run and jump into your car. And then when your passenger comes up, roll down your window and ask them what their name is. Don't let them open the door, and then now all of a sudden they're in your car and you're kind of like...
They're in your space, in your environment. You're not in control anymore as the driver.
Yeah, exactly. Always be in control.
Okay, number three, have a dash cam.
Yeah, having a dash cam is really, really important, guys. This way, it's for number one. The dash cam doesn't even necessarily need to be working. It should be working, but just the fact that you have one out shows the passenger, okay, this ride is being recorded. I need to be on my best behavior. Anything I do is going to be recorded. So, but yeah, and then number two, it's good for safety, like if you ever get into an accident and now you have footage, or if your passenger ever, does something bad to you, now you have that footage and you can prove that whatever happened actually did happen. It's not just your word against theirs.
And I think with a dash cam, yes, it is going to be more of an expensive upfront to get it, but it is definitely worth your while having that for multiple reasons. Your own safety, your passenger's safety, it's going to be worth your money. And then my second point with the dash cam is, I'm sure riders are going to ask, because they might not have seen it before, like, oh, what is it? And I think that's very fair and safe as a driver, saying, hi, this is just a dash cam to ensure that this is the safest ride possible.
Yeah. And even if you want, you could put up signs, like mini signs in your car, just saying like, hey, this ride is being recorded just for your own safety. You don't have to do that, but yeah, you can tell your passengers if they ask, or just up front. Okay, tip number four for being a safer driver is just drive during the day. This is, plain and simple. Obviously, you can drive at night, but it's just safer driving during the day. That's just because it's light outside, everyone can see what's going on.
Everyone's awake.
Yeah, everyone's awake. This is just like, you know, I feel more comfortable walking around during the day than walking around in 4 a.m. You know, there's just, or 3 a.m., whatever. It's just safer driving during the day. But that doesn't mean, you know, don't drive during the night if you want to try that out. But just know that it is safer to drive during the day.
Just a tip.
Yeah. And I mean, yeah, this just means maybe around when it's getting dark out, you can stop driving, or like, I don't know, past like 9 or 10 p.m. That's when you're gonna start getting some people who are like
drinking,
and then people who, whatever, you know, when it's dark out, people get
crazy.
People get crazy. Yeah. What's that one saying?
Nothing good happens after midnight.
Yeah. Thank you.
I can read Dylan's mind.
I would have not have guessed that phrase on my own. So my biggest like problem in life is that whenever I'm thinking of a word, I can just never think of it. So then it's just like an awkward silence.
That's what I'm here for. Think of the words.
Okay. Tip number 5, 5th essential safety tip for driving Uber and Lyft is use your intuition. If you ever pull up to your passenger and for whatever reason you think, okay, that guy just, I don't know what it is, but I just do not have a good feeling about him. Maybe he just, I don't know, he's wearing a hoodie and he just looks like really sketchy. And you just feel like, I don't know, something bad's gonna happen.
You have a bad gut feeling.
You have a bad gut. Follow that feeling and you don't have to pick him up. You can just drive right by. And just as in general, if somebody comes up to your car and maybe they're like already mean to you off the bat, like they're
just cancel the ride.
It's not worth it. Just use your intuition. That's your most powerful tool that you have, is your intuition, your conscience.
Tip number 6, make sure as the driver you are wearing your seatbelt, which sets a good example for your passengers, but also make sure all of your passengers have their seatbelts buckled. This is important because a lot of people, I feel like, oh, if they're just going to the movies or a quick ride, they're not gonna think I need to put my seatbelt on. But for state laws and regulations, like, passengers are required to wear a seatbelt. And even as the Uber or Lyft driver, if you say, hey, just want to make sure everyone's buckled, and let's say, God forbid, there is an accident, you're covered because you asked your passengers to put their seatbelts on.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, not only is it safe for you to cover yourself, like in the case of an accident or a ticket or whatever, but yeah, if you do get into an accident, like, people can get injured.
People can die. I mean, they said that Princess Diana, if she had her seatbelt on, would have had a way higher chance of surviving, if not have survived, if she had it on.
Definitely. So, yeah, you don't want anything, you know, in the rare instance that there is a bad accident, you want everyone to have their seatbelt on. So, the way you do this is when you get into the car, you know, do it, you know, work it into the conversation, like as soon as you start the ride, and be like, hey, does everyone have their seatbelts on? And actually check and make sure that they do. And, you know, as a passenger, when I've had a driver tell me that, I actually appreciate it because, you know, that way it shows me that he's looking out for my safety. So, yeah, make sure to do that.
Tip number 7, make sure that your car is in proper check and in very good condition. As a passenger like myself, I expect my driver to have like a clean car, a working car, everything works. Like, because I've been in a car once where the seatbelt didn't work, and that made me uncomfortable right off the bat, because I'm like, what if someone hits my driver? You know, then I'm like screwed.
Definitely.
So make sure like all the mirrors are on your car, seatbelts work, doors work, air conditioning works. Like, like we said this before, this space is your office, and you need to be like proud of your space.
Make sure you're getting your oil changed every 3,000 to 5,000 miles. Make sure, you know, you're getting your tune-ups, your tires rotated. Make sure your tires are not balding. Like, these little things that are just car maintenance, make sure you're doing that, because in the event, you don't want something...
It makes a difference.
Yeah. These like little small checkups can catch up to you in the long run. So make sure you're doing these you know, make sure you're maintaining your car.
Okay, with kind of tagging along that, tip number 8, make sure before you start driving for the day or the night, your car is fully gassed up. I mean, that would be a bummer if a passenger's in your car and you realize, oh shoot, my tank's low, and then the passenger's awkwardly sitting at the gas station with you. But also, you don't want to have to refill your gas when you're like a high demand for rides are coming, because you're going to miss out on money.
Yeah, exactly. And if you have to go to the gas station and, you know, you have to walk up to the place, to the teller to give him your cash, or, you know, just even stepping out of your car, I mean, you just now you have essentially a stranger in your car by themselves, and whatever.
Who knows what would happen?
Yeah, they might be able to steal something, or, and then, did you mention that they might you could run out of gas potentially if you're on a long trip?
Yeah.
You don't want to run that risk either, because that's dangerous. You don't want to be stranded in the middle of nowhere.
That would not be fun, especially in an area you're not familiar with, and if it's far out of like the main central city.
Yeah, or the middle of the night.
True.
Tip number 9 is practice defensive driving. So whenever you're on the road, this means that, you're not just kick back, relax, on cruise control. You're actually up front checking your mirrors every, 5 to 10 seconds.
Hands are at 10 and 2.
Yeah. Just because you're a really good driver doesn't mean that another bad driver might hit you.
Someone could be texting and driving, distracted driving. Like, being a defensive driver is not being a distracted driver. Eyes on the road, focused at all times, and passengers want to make sure they use Uber and Lyft to ensure a safe ride.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's going to be some random factors along the way, like if someone hits you, whatever, you can't avoid that. But if you're being a defensive driver, if you see something happening, hopefully you can swerve or get out of that situation.
Yeah, and if you guys want to see a good example of this, if you guys know Chris, he's been on the channel before. His channel is called Real Rideshare Stories. He's on this channel almost every single week. But go watch some of his videos. He drives a lot at night, and you'll see him when he's driving. He's focused. He's laser focused on the road. And he's not, when he has loud passers, he's not like, oh yeah, what song do you guys want? And he's not on his phone. I know I've had some drivers do that where they're just up on their phone.
That makes me uncomfortable as a passenger. In fact, I've said, hi, could you please put your phone down?
Oh really?
Yeah, I mean, I saw this one billboard when driving, no text is worth your life. That's so true. Responding a simple, okay, yeah. Not worth a catastrophic event.
It's not worth it at all. Sometimes I have friends who text me, and I know they're driving. I just don't even respond because it's not worth it. Yeah. People have
died, accidents have happened. Don't do that.
Yeah. Yeah. This is not another, so I don't want to add into another tip, but just going off of this is make sure you, just being distracted, make sure you're getting enough sleep at night, because this can lead to it's called drowsy driving, and this is actually, so tip number 10 is get enough sleep at night. So this is really important because you don't want to be sleep deprived and do something called drowsy driving, which is actually very common, and one of the biggest reasons that people do get into accidents and fatalities while they're driving is because they're falling asleep while they're driving. This is almost more dangerous than drunk driving. So just make sure you're getting enough sleep at night so that when you are driving, you're alert and awake.
We know that this is a very serious topic, but it needs to be discussed because your passengers and your own life is at risk if you partake in drowsy driving or any form of distracted driving, but also if you're not paying attention, let's say for a split second, you close your eyes and let's say you're by a school zone and a small child walks in front of your car, you might not have the alertness of the reaction to veer away.
Definitely. There's countless examples, unfortunately, of times when people have fallen asleep while driving. I have somebody very close to me who that actually happened to them. So make sure you're getting enough sleep and make sure you're very alert when you're driving.
Okay, tip number 11, we talked about this in another video already, but do not accept cash rides. That's just gonna lead to a huge potential scamming issue, because once you take the person to their destination, they can just hop out of the car. They're not binded to actually pay you.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, just on top of that, if the person doesn't have a phone, they don't have a credit card, the reason they're offering you cash is because, one, maybe they just, their phone died and they just want to give you cash, but most of the time, they know that their trip is not being tracked. They don't, Uber and Lyft doesn't know who that person is. They're just giving you cash, and they could do anything to you, and they can get away with it because no one will know.
No one's gonna hold them liable for their actions.
Yeah, if something happens and they're on the Uber and Lyft app, Uber and Lyft can just track them down based on when they registered and signed up. But if they give you cash, then they can't. There's tons of problems with cash rides. I mean, one, if you get into an accident, then you know, it's all your fault. Your insurance will not cover it at all, plain and simple. But yeah, two, it's for safety reasons.
And there's a reason that Uber and Lyft are the middleman, because even if you get screwed out of a ride by a passenger, they're still gonna pay you, versus if they're not there to protect you, you have no protection.
Definitely, yeah.
Okay, tip number 12, do not floor it at lights. Part of being a defensive and cautious driver is if you see a yellow and you're approaching, just slowly ease on the brakes and stay stopped and safe.
Mm-hmm.
As a passenger, if I get to my destination a minute or two later than expected, but have a safe trip, that is worth it. If you're flooring it and then we get T-boned because you're trying to like run a red almost, and then I'm like an hour late, that would be disappointing.
Yeah, definitely. Or possibly even injured.
Yeah, and that is not what I signed up for as a passenger.
Yeah. Follow the laws of the road. They're put in place for a reason, you know? Like, go the speed limit. When you're on the freeway, go 65 or go the normal flow of traffic. You don't need to be going 85, 90 on the freeway. No,
you don't. And I just think that the biggest thing is your passengers are your precious cargo, and your cargo yourself. You don't want to put your own life at risk.
Definitely. I know like a lot of my friends make fun of me when I drive, but I'm always, whenever I go on the freeway, like I usually try to stay on the right side and I try to go slow so that I'm not like, you know, going 80 miles per hour like mostly everyone else is. Yeah, this is like even at stoplights when it's a red and you can turn right and there's like people flying by, like you don't need to be inching forward like, oh, when can I make it? Just like
slow down,
calm, relax,
take your time.
Wait till it turns green, or wait till there's a huge gap of people and it's safe. Yeah, it's just follow the laws of the road.
Be smart, be safe.
Yeah.
Tip number 13, especially in areas that you're not familiar with, like your own hometown, you're gonna kind of know the grid and the layout of the city. But you know, for me, coming to the Northern California area, I was kind of surprised by like barricades and like different sections where like certain streets are one-way streets. So just like take it easy and places you're not familiar with, because there's gonna be like little different changes. So don't be like zooming through, because maps isn't gonna say like, oh, ahead, you can't make a left-hand turn.
Yeah. And I actually had a experience the other day. I was taking an Uber to I think it was to class actually. I was taking an Uber and my driver turned onto the wrong side of the road. And all of a sudden I found myself like, I'm like, dude, you're in the wrong side. And he was on the left. I mean, you know, in the United States, whatever, like you need to be on the right side. He was on the left side. And fortunately, you know, there weren't cars flying by, but like if he wouldn't have moved, we would have gotten hit. And so I had to tell him like, get on the wrong side of the road. And he was like, oh, I thought it was a one-way. I'm like, dude, no, like pay attention. These are the things we're talking about, like be proactive, not reactive.
Exactly. And like Uber and Lyft rides are gonna take you to areas that you're not necessarily familiar with. So just be aware.
Definitely, yeah. Okay guys, tip number 14, this is super important. A lot of drivers do make this mistake, so make sure you don't do this, is pull over in a safe area when you're picking up and when you're dropping off. The other day I did take an Uber and I was going to this cafe and I was like, oh yeah, it's right here. And my driver, she was like, okay, I'll drop you off up here. And it was like, I don't know, it was like, at the end of the block, but that was the safest place to pull over. And afterwards I was like, oh wow, I actually, you know, prefer her to drop me off in a safe location than just stopping in the middle of the road. So just, you know, make sure you're pulling over in a safe area so you don't get hit or, you know, put your passenger or yourself at danger.
Even if you're picking up someone and you need to go a little further from what their pickup location is, give your passenger a call and be like, hi, my name's Robert. I'll be picking you up at the corner ahead. That's just the safest pickup location.
Yeah, definitely. Especially like in crowded areas, don't just stop in the middle of the road.
You're gonna get honked at, it's gonna be a lot of tension, possibly road rage, just you can avoid that whole situation.
Definitely, this is like just a tip for being more stress-free. It's just pulling over in a safe area so people, you know, aren't bugging you. Yeah, I mean, there's also a way to avoid tickets as well. So, okay, number 15, guys. You want to do this one?
Yes. We talked about this earlier. If you didn't gas up and for some reason you're stranded or there's a car malfunction, you're going to be stuck. And you could be stuck for a while. So the 15th tip is keep waters in your car in case you get stranded. You might already have waters in your car just because that's the type of driver you are and you like to offer that. But like when I'm even driving around in my hometown, I have a case of waters in the trunk in case there's any sort of emergency. Because like you need water to survive, and maybe AAA or some car service can't get out there for a couple hours. That's just going to ensure that you're still like breathing, doing fine, hydrated. Like it's just a good safety precaution to have.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, and especially for drivers who drive in areas that are not like a big city. If you're driving like, you know, in more rural areas, it's, you know, there's not, it could take like a while for somebody to get to you. So just be,
expect the unexpected. Yeah, just be prepared.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, tip 16, do not start the trip unless everyone is in the car. You know, sometimes you might think everyone's in the car, but maybe there's a small child that's still trying to get in or whatever. Just like take a second, turn around, make sure people have their seatbelts on and say, hey, is everyone in the car? Are we good to go?
Yeah, you might be tempted, just your passenger might even call you and be like, hey, we're running a couple minutes late, you can just start the trip now. Don't do that. make sure everyone's in the car. You know, don't start the trip like when you're a block away, you know, thinking, oh yeah, maybe I can get a couple extra bucks. No, you want to make sure everyone's in the car, everyone's good to go, because yeah, like she said, there might be an extra person, maybe you start the trip and then all of a sudden the mom's like, oh yeah, I'm bringing my baby, and you
gotta put the car, like they have to put the car seat in. That's gonna take some time.
Yeah, or they might not even have a car seat, so you can't even accept them, and now you already accepted them and started the trip, and then now they can rate you bad and report you. Just like you run into all this mess. But if you don't accept it, then they can't rate you yet, because, you know, they're not your passengers yet. Or if you're like, if they have an extra person that doesn't fit in your car and you can't accept them, then that's how to avoid that as well.
Like I've had it where, you know, a couple of my friends, girls take forever to get ready. 3 of us are there and we're like, come on, let's go. I said, hey, sorry, my one friend just like left something in the kitchen. She'll be right back.
Yeah.
So it's important to like make sure you have everyone in the secured location.
Definitely. Okay,
tip 17. You might think this is a strange one, but it actually happened to my parents. Make sure that, we kind of tied this in with 16, but like everyone is in the car and everyone's safe. And like, I say this because my dad, we were headed out for the airport in a rush. My mom was getting in the car. He literally ran over her foot with the tire. Thankfully, I don't know how this happened. This was quite a miracle. She was wearing some really squishy shoes. Her foot was fine, but had that not been the case, we would have missed our flight, missed the trip. She would have gone to like some probably intense surgery. So it's just not worth to be in a rush. Like take a step, breathe, make sure everyone's safe.
Yeah, definitely. But just like, it's a good final tip because it's just tying everything together. You know, before you start the trip, just make sure everyone has their seatbelt on, everyone's ready to go, and then now you can go and, you know, complete the trip.
You know, like slow and steady wins the race. Don't try to be like the rabbit that's trying to get there all in one speed so fast, like not even paying attention. Like your passengers will appreciate it more if you take the time, care, and then go.
Yep, that's what your passengers want. They kind of want that, you know, that chauffeur experience of like, all right, we're like, the driver's cool, he's like looking out for our safety, and he's not just like speeding around like trying to like, get us into
If you wanted that experience, you're gonna take a cab or drive with your crazy friend.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, guys, those are the 17 essential tips for safety, ensuring your safety and your passenger's safety while driving for Uber and Lyft. Let me know down below, do you have any other tips for safety? And if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. It does help a lot because it helps you know, YouTube show this video to more people, and I am trying to spread, you know, awareness for safety. So if you can leave a thumbs up, that does help a lot, and make sure to subscribe so you don't miss another video. on Uber and Lyft. If you want to check out our merch store, you know, it does help us support the channel. Any money that I get from the merch just goes back into making better videos for you guys. So, you know, it's a win-win situation. And, you know, if you're wearing an exclusive Rideshare Hub t-shirt,
you're gonna be part of the Rideshare Hub Club.
Rideshare Hub Club. All right, guys, thanks so much for watching, and I will see you all next time. All right, bye, guys.
See ya.